getting stronger, so much wiser. Won't you please listen to my song? There is no way I could ever turn back now. Won't you please listen to my song? La 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 la. Listen to my song. Welcome back to Nellascope the podcast. I am the host of Nellascope the podcast, Chris Nella, and you've tuned into part 2 of the season finale. I hope you tuned in to part 1. If you haven't listened to part 1, make sure you get that done today. But right now, this is the season finale, season 2, part 2, where we interview the iconic Karen Marie Mason. It's incredible how one woman has shaped so many artists, some of the biggest names in music that you know today and entertainment. So here's the format for the season finale of season 2 for Nellascope. We're going to have some wonderful, delicious indie fire. It's going to be hot out the stove for you guys today. We're going to have the topic, which in this case is part 2 of our previous interview with the iconic Karen Marie Mason, when she gives her decision if she decides to work with Mary J. Blige. You don't want to miss it, guys. It's part 2 of the Nellascope season finale. And then, of course, we're going to end the show with the moments to be inspired by. But before we get into anything, put on your gloves, open up the stove, let that steam hit you, because it's now time for fresh, hot out the oven indie fire. Today's selection is going to be Reason to Live by Shante Khan from the Through the Stages Volume 1 compilation EP. You can find the compilation anywhere where streaming music can be played. So without further ado, here's Shante Khan with Reason to Live, here on Nellascope the podcast. Enjoy.
Fighting your way through the tears, hiding from everything broken. Loneliness exposes your fears, terrified of all things unspoken. Though you're trapped inside your mind, you may think you're hard to find, but you're not. Even if you feel like you still don't have the will, all you've got to do is know you got a reason to live. There's no need to question your existence. So you got a reason to live. There's no need to question your existence. You try to push past through the pain, but the heartache of doubt overwhelm you. The wilderness feels like a dead-end road, but you're not alone on this journey. When your world is oh so gray, feel like it's all slipping away, but it's not. When your head is spinning round, you can't seem to find your ground. All you got to do is know that you got a reason to live. There's no need to question your existence. Oh, you got a reason to live. There's no need to question your existence. You're stronger than resistance, and you got a reason to live. a reason to live. There's no need to question your existence.
Yes. That was Reason to Live by Shante Khan from the Through the Stages Volume 1 EP compilation. Now, I've read your emails. I've got your text. Everybody has been waiting on part 2. What will Karen decide? It's time to find out. Listen up. Here's part 2 of Karen Marie Mason, the season 2 finale here at Nelliscope.
She was a little teenpreneur, and I was her mommy, and I was in heaven. And during that time, I got a call from Kirk Burroughs. Kirk had started Bad Boy with Puffy. And then that broke off, and he was managing Mary J. Blige now. And he called me. He said, Karen, I need you. Everyone knows you're the best marketer in the business. I need you. And I said, well, Kirk, I'm kind of on a different planet right now. I'm over here homeschooling, making soap. You know what I'm saying? Being like Susie Homemaker. Like, what you talking about? Kirk was like, please, I need you. And I was like, okay, Kirk, if you really need me, you're going to have to give me this and do this and that. These are my terms, And they were a little exaggerated because I felt like he ain't going to agree to all of this anyway. And it'll all be good. He'll just say, hey, I can't do this, and we'll still remain friends, and we just keep it moving. Kirk said yes to everything that I asked for. Everything. Wow. That's what I said. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And under Kirk's leadership, we focused on really rebranding Mary from not just being hip-hop Mary, but really rebranding her to a more polished Mary, and got her the first major deal of this nature with a major makeup company, which was MAC at the time. Got her first deal with Dark and Lovely Hair Color, and she was on the box. Got sponsors for her tour, did all the marketing, under direction of Kirk for Mary at the time, and really took where Mary was and what she was growing to and amplified that. Amplified that in the styling, amplified that in the makeup, amplified that in her appearances, amplified that in her cover art for her music, amplified that in the types of interviews that we did. And it was a beautiful, beautiful time because, again, Karen got to stay home and work with her daughter while working with one of the biggest artists in the country. Who could ask for anything more? So we did Mary, and then, Mary, people probably know a little bit of that story. Mary eventually married Ken Do. Ken Do became her manager. Kirk was no longer her manager, so she was no longer my client because Kirk had hired me, though we remained friends, but, things happen. So I'm still at home, and I'm still, Kenya's now, I don't know, maybe 14, 15. She's growing up, quite a bit. But I'm living the life that I saw in my head. Just like you, the listeners, can live the life that you see and feel and know in your bones and your DNA that is to be your life. So I'm raising my daughter. She's speaking here. She's moving across the country. She's doing all kinds of things. And my money started to dry up a little. And so I started doing locations for music videos. And how I started doing that, and I share this because I just really want y'all to understand that if you want it, it can absolutely be yours. So they have this film and television directory here in Atlanta, and I put my name in there as a location scout. Mm-hmm. I didn't know all the details of what a location scout did. I didn't know, but I figured I could figure it out. I mean, I ran departments, right? So certainly I could figure out what a location scout, because even in my capacity as a product manager, director of marketing, head of marketing, all of these different positions, I didn't deal with location scout. I deal with our video commissioner. Our video commissioner is the one who commissions the videos. I say to the video commissioner, we want this kind of look. We want it highly stylized. We wanted this, that. She comes back to me with reels of those video directors who can manifest that style. We wind it down to 2 or 3. We request treatments from them. We choose a treatment. Then we go, I just show up at the video shoot. Not even registering that a scout was who, you understand, found the location. I just showed up as an exec. So I put my name in this book and forgot all about it. Maybe 8 months, maybe even longer, I get a call. Hi, I'm such and such. I'm producing a video for this dude named T.I. I don't know who this dude is. I don't know what she's talking about. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, we need this, that. We need a grocery store. We need a building. We need this, that, and the other. I was like, okay. You know what I mean? Okay. Right? I go on the line. I go online. I go, research it. Okay. This is what I got to do. This is what I got to do. I'm thinking, I just got to find the locations. I found the locations. The artist shows up. The producer shows up. Where are we parking the buses? And I'm like, oh, I got to find a place for the buses. Right? So I find a place for the buses. You know what I'm saying? And then where are we doing catering? Where's the crew going to eat? Where are we doing hair and makeup?
Wow.
And I'm realizing that I ain't got my shit together right now. But I'm learning because I'm still giving 100. Now it's 100 of what I know, but the more that opens up to me, then I can give more. So I'm realizing all of these things I was supposed to do, I didn't do. Next thing you know, somebody from the city of Atlanta shows up and says, where's your permit? Oh my. So I'm learning how to talk my way out of some stuff. We're in front of a store, and the store is like, you can't be in front of my store. We don't have an agreement. Oh, you see what I'm saying?
Wow. Yeah.
But I handled everything with a certain level of grace and humility, because shit was jacked up. But you wouldn't really know it because I wasn't flustered by it. I was just like, oh, that ain't never gonna happen again. Something else will happen and I'd fix it. That ain't never gonna happen again. Not like that. Maybe other things will happen, but it ain't gonna go down like this again. Okay?
Right.
So after that video, this producer hired me for every video she was doing. Now, mind you, I made a lot of blunders on that first video, but I still gave 100. I still had humility, and I still was ready to work. And so I trained on the job and became one of the best location manager scouts for music videos. So Ludacris, Young Jeezy, Lil Wayne when he shot here, Cherish, 8-Ball MJG. I mean, just on and on and on and on and on, doing all of these videos. Having the time of my life because now my daughter could be with me on videos. So we still homeschooling. We homeschooling on the job. Wow. Because my whole philosophy with her was the world was our classroom anyway. So I did very little schooling at home. We schooled in the kitchen. We did math in the kitchen. We did measurements, conversions by cooking. We would go to the museum. Now we're talking about critiquing, understanding, being able to articulate how something makes you feel. At the time, I used to promote a lot of lectures with Dick Gregory and Dr. Richard King and Claude Anderson and so many of our leaders in politics and history. She learned there. So it was nothing to have her on the video stuff with me. At one point, she didn't want to work for me, though, because she was like, you too much. You're just too much. Too much. That hurt my feelings, and it eventually had me change the way I worked in some ways. Because at times, it got hectic. I'm shooting with Hype Williams. We shooting with Jeezy. And Hype has a real guerrilla style of working. We jumping out vans and shooting and jumping back in vans and, you know what I mean? And, so things would be hectic. Jeezy wanted to shoot in all the trap neighborhoods. So I made sure I went in those neighborhoods and found out who in charge here. Because I'm not coming in your neighborhood talking about I'm Karen, I'm a location scout, and we just gonna shoot. No, I'm there before that, and I'm finding out who's who, and I'm building relationships with all the track folk. Some of them are still my friends today, because I'm about giving 100. Now when I show up, they're like, "What's up, Karen? What you need? What's up? What's up? What Jeezy need? We got you."
Wow.
So I'm not about just doing my quote-unquote job well. I'm about establishing those relationships that help me to do my job even more effectively.
Mm-hmm.
So one day I'm doing what's this guy name from the West Coast? I'll tell you in a second. Jermaine has something to do with this. I don't know if it was on Jermaine's label or if it was, he produced it. I can't remember. But we shooting, and someone tells me that Tyler Perry's looking to hire a location scout. This is when he was on Krog Street. He's had 3 locations here: Krog Street, Continental Colony, and now where he is on Main Street in East Point. And I was like, okay, Jermaine, I got to step out. I'll be back in a little bit. And I went over to Krog Street. Don't know nothing about locations for film. I'm thinking it's similar to videos, because at this point I had quite the resume in videos.
Right.
So they said, when you get over there, ask for Roger Bob. I said, okay. And I share this story because I just want y'all to know that y'all can have whatever you want to have. Right? So I go over there, and the receptionist was like, "Hi, how can I help you?" And I was like, "I'm here to see Roger Bob. Do you have an appointment?" "I do not." "Does he know why you're here?" "He does not." She's looking at me now like, "You crazy." You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking at her like, I'm confident I'm going to see Roger Bob, but I'm not overly with it. But in my heart, I'm like, I'm just going to work out one way or another. She said, "Okay, who should I tell him is here?" I said, "Tell him his location scout is here." She goes away. She's gone for a good little while. She comes back. She says, "He'll see you." Go in. I say, "Hi, Roger." I'm hyped. I'm coming from a video shoot with craziness going on, so I'm already a little hyped. And he's really kind of stoic, soft-spoken, amazing director, amazing producer. I said, "Hi, Roger. I know you don't know me. Thank you so much for seeing me. I know you need location person. I'm it." He's taken aback because I'm a little forward, right? And he's like, "Do you have a resume?" And I was like, "Nope. No, I have no resume, no nothing." I said, "You know what? This is real tacky though. I can write out all of the videos I've done and I can email it to you." And he's like, "Okay, yeah." And he gives me his assistant's email address. And I was like, "Okay." So I sent him the email. I heard nothing. Like, not when I say nothing, I mean nothing. So I went back. Receptionist there again. I was like, "Here, I'm here to see Roger. Do you have an appointment?" "No." Same thing. Is he expecting you? "No." "Who should I tell him is here?" "His location scout." She goes away for a little while, a little longer time. "He'll see you." I walk into Roger's office and I said, "Hey, Roger, I didn't hear from you." Now that's pretty gutsy. That's what people tell me, that's pretty gutsy. But I didn't. I hadn't heard from him. And he sort of was like, very pleasant, but, "Don't call me, I'll call you." And I was like, "Well, I'm leaving." And I'm like, "I'm the best, right?" He just kind of nods.
Wow.
The next day, something happened with some other person or some situation. Guess who they called? I was there with bells on. Boom. I'm working for Tyler Perry. Family That Prays was my first movie that I worked on, and then a ton of others. Now again, movies a little bit different than video. So I made some mistakes, but I was humble with it. And I was determined that those mistakes were part of my learning curve and they would never happen again. And that's, I eventually got to Tyler Perry and then a whole bunch of other movies, more than I could remember. But again, I'm kind of in my lane and I'm really, really enjoying the life that I have created for myself. Now, locations is very, very demanding, and there's a certain amount of level of availability that you have to have. It's these, you're talking about 12, 14-hour days and all of this other stuff. And after a while, I just, I got a little tired of that. Even though the money was great, I didn't want to be so available to anyone. And remember, I'm still raising a daughter. And so I didn't want to do that. So Roger, who at the time was Tyler's main producer and director, branched out and started Bobcat. Ricky Smiley Show, The Mans, all of those shows are his. And I said to Roger, I said to Angie, who was Roger's producer now, and I said, Angie, can I do the music for these shows? And Angie's like, I'll talk to Roger because we don't have anyone. And I saw this as a great opportunity to marry my life in music and my interest in film from another direction that wasn't so demanding in terms of time. She talks to Roger. Next thing you know, I'm a music supervisor. And again, I'm learning from the ground up, but I'm given this opportunity and I'm given 100. To just sort of bring it all back around as a result of my work in music supervision, in film, in the industry, in being a promoter, all of these things that I've done over the years, Mr. Johnson was like, hey, Karen, and I had heard about Mr. Johnson for years, and I know our paths have crossed many times in the industry, and he was saying, you should consider going to Midem. And I thought, okay. I used to attend Midem years ago. Maybe I might just do that. And before I left for Midem, I thought, why not create some sort of platform where I can share about what was happening at Midem in the worldwide marketplace with musicians and artists who would never necessarily have an opportunity at that time to go and to attend. And that's how Artist Launch was born. And it was born at a time when the music industry was really changing in such a big way. When I started Artist Launch, artists didn't want to get on streaming services. And I'm like, you're leaving coins on the table. When I started Artist Launch, they didn't know about Sound Exchange. And I'm like, yo, y'all leaving money on the table. When I started Artist Launch, people thought BMI and ASCAP were publishers. They're not publishers. They're performance rights organizations. So I was realizing that there was a big drought on musicians really understanding and really knowing how to monetize their craft. And that became my focus of Artist Launch and pretty much how you and I connected. So, and throughout that, and that's kind of sort of bringing it full circle. Throughout that process, I got cancer, breast cancer, stage 4, which I'm living with now. And so it changed things a lot for me, at least in my head, and also physically. Like I just wasn't able to do a lot of the things that I could do. But again, like everything else, I'm giving 100. I'm a make it work. And out of the cancer diagnosis came through the stages, which is an ebook, and also came the label Healing ATL, and so many of the things that I'm continuing to do today, including being a talent manager. I manage 2 main talents, and I do work for others, but the 2 main ones is a painter by the name of Fahamu, who's probably one of the top. Painter. Top 10.
A brilliant vocal, meaningful painter to at least our time.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Let's talk about that. We got to give him due. We got to give him due.
No, we have to give him due. And most recently, he has started Adama, which would be the first contemporary African American museum in the world. Like all this blackety black stuff and this basic stuff that we don't even have yet. So it's starting virtually, and eventually it will be a physical building, etc. And then I also manage LaGuardia Cross, who is an influencer in the family vertical. And through my management of them, it got me really into brand partnerships. And that's how I've been able to do brand partnerships with everyone from Clorox to Flintstone to Roborock Vacuum to so many other brands, Old Navy, etc. Which is, again, really being an advocate for the talent, being an advocate for the artist, which is pretty much what I've done in different ways my whole life and my whole career. How do I advocate for him? Make sure we do partnerships where his coffers are full, but we're not compromising the brand in any way. How do we position it in such a way, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's what I do for them. And I'm looking to expand that and maybe bring in a couple more influences and others as time develops. But I say all of that to say that's how I ended up here with you.
And I love it. And I love the entire process.
And I am privileged to be a part of it. Now let me ask this. You spoke about Healing ATL. You have a brand new compilation album. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Healing ATL came out of my own journey, being sick with cancer and coming very close on a number of times to making my transition. But I was like, just like everything else, I had to learn to give myself 100 and say, I ain't ready to go anywhere, right? I'm not going anywhere. So I'm like, God, well, we got to work out. But at the time, I was getting so much support from the community. I would have people drop off a case of water at my house, bring me dinner, do all kinds of things, because I had to have a spinal compression surgery because the cancer had metastasized to my spine. So I couldn't walk. I couldn't bathe myself. There's so much I couldn't do. And I had a team of people who were in my space in all different capacities, helping me cook, helping me bathe, help clean my house. I had phone people like Angela and others who I spoke to who would calm me and just walk through my day with me, to keep my vibrations high. And so I was like, man, I need to put out a compilation album of healing music. 1, to say thank you, and 2, to create something that helps get people through the stages. So it eventually started, from my own cancer experience. But as time went along and I didn't have the energy to actually release it, it was just too many different pieces. Celeste came on board and partnered with me and really kind of kept things moving when I could not. But rather than base it around cancer, I thought I'm going to release a series of compilations. This is just the first one. A series of compilation called Through the Stages Volume 1, 2, 3, 4 that help people get through whatever they're going through. Relationships, job, illness, challenges, etc. It will be music that's not so directly to your situation, but more generally to helping you heal. And so Through the Stages Volume 1 is the first compilation from that series, which features jazz singer Shantae Khan. It features a local hot singer that came out of Kevin Shine's organization, 10. It features Mariba, who's now signed to Interscope and is doing phenomenal out there. And she's on the new Spillage Village album, and she's just crazy. Sonny Patterson, Tishona Armstrong, and a few others. So this is our first of many offerings of a number of volumes. And we're actually in conversations with some record companies about possibly picking up the whole project. So we're just sort of moving through that whole piece. So that's Healing ATL is the label, and Through the Stages Volume 1 is the first compilation. You can go to healingatl.com for more information.
Through the Stages was also coupled with your ebook. Tell them where they can find the ebook information about Through the Stages, because it all started, and it started with an ideal, guys. So tell them where they can find that information.
Well, before I tell them that, I also want to say that, I feel like my whole life is a testament to really staying focused in the midst of storms at times, but also to be able to really hold on to your ideas. Hold on to the ideal that you've established for yourself and know that it can manifest. Not maybe, not, I don't know if I'm going to be a singer. I don't know if I'm going to do this. No, beside that, it's yes, I am going to do that. That little girl that I homeschooled, who started her own magazine, went on to full scholarship at Howard University, worked for Harry Reid, who was at that time the state Senate Majority Leader, went back to school on full scholarship again, got her degree in international relations, and became a diplomat. She's been in Vietnam. She's now in Guinea. Today she's in Ethiopia. You know what I'm saying? And her next post will be back in Southeast Asia. Because what we must do is not only focus 100 on the things we want for ourselves, but also develop within our children, even if we're scared, develop within them a fearlessness and a desire and a knowledge that they can do whatever that they want to do, that the sky is really literally not even the limit, right? So now little Miss Kenya speaks fluent French and fluent Vietnamese. And she goes back to Southeast Asia, she'll be speaking fluent Mandarin. She ain't come here to play with y'all. But neither should you. And I'm talking to you, that artist, that writer, that instrumentalist, that singer, that producer. You don't have any idea where your blessing is going to come from. I just happened to be at a video shoot. Someone just happened to mention Tyler Perry to me. I just happened to go over there. Now, I say happen, but we also know there are no coincidences. So we never know where it's going to come from. When Sylvia called me when I was at Columbia, I had never spoken to Sylvia. Everyone knew who Sylvia was. Everyone admired her for all she'd done in the business as a black woman. But I had never even spoken to her. And here she is, not her secretary calling me. She's calling me.
Wow. She takes the time out of the day.
That's what I'm saying. We can create the roadmap that we want for ourselves and for our lives. Who you expect to do that? Who are you expecting to do that for you? We're always looking outside of ourselves. And I challenge you to look within yourself and see the God that you are, and can therefore manifest anything that comes to mind. And I mean anything.
Yeah. Literally anything.
Literally anything. How do we think the first car was built? How was the first plane built? It came out of somebody's mind.
Right.
So the question is, where's your mind? Why are you not coming up with what's already in there? Oh, you busy. Oh, you busy on Instagram. You busy on social media. You busy doing stuff that's not fruitful. You missing your own abundance that is within you. And you telling yourself you can't when there is no such thing as can't. I could have told my daughter, man, you can't start no magazine. What you doing? How we gonna do that? I said, oh, you want to start a magazine? Let's do it. You want to start a little clothing line? She had her own little clothing line called Modest Apparel. Let's do it. Got her sewing lessons. Everything is within our reach. It's only the time that it takes to reach you. And that's your decision. That's your decision. You get to decide that. But you can't decide it when you're clouded, when your mind is clouded by things that are not serving you, feeding you, watering you. That's your responsibility. I could tell you about it, but it's your responsibility to take your time and go within. That's how every campaign that I came up with came about. Sitting here, clearing my mind. Okay, I can't position these little boys as no hip hop impresarios. Let me position them as a fashion statement. Ooh, you know what I'm saying? Ooh.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
But out of your head. And y'all got a billion ideas in your head that can absolutely manifest. So it's throughthestages.com and healingatl.com. That's where you can find it.
Throughthestages.com and healingatl.com.
Yeah.
In closing, what would be the one thing you would tell an artist today? Because the promotions have changed. If you had to sit down an artist in your own words, in only the way that you can.
Oh, just one thing. I don't know. But what, because there are many things I would want to say. But the one thing I think that I would say in this conversation is to find your voice. A lot of times we come up by imitating others. It's like a child. You learn to walk by seeing other people walk. You learn to hold a cup by seeing how other people learn to cup. So you're really copying others initially. And you may do that for a moment till you kind of get a little groove and a flow about it. But I would say to them, discover and find your authentic voice. Not just your singing voice, your communicative voice. What's important to you, how you want to position yourself. Because I'm going to tell you, I don't care how good of a musician you are, how great of a singer you are. What people are interested in now is, where does your authenticity come from? That's what they're interested in now. What is your story? You know, back in the day, people used to think, okay, you got a great song, that's it. They didn't need to know the story, the background, the this, the that, the other. But we live in a different place in time where you've got 100, 200,000 songs being uploaded a day to streaming services. What is it that you think you're going to separate in the midst of 200,000 songs every day? And what makes you uniquely you is your story. And so my challenge to you is, find that story. What is it? Maybe you were a country boy. Maybe you grew up, grandma raised you, so you got certain ways that you look at life and the way that you approach things. Maybe you were like me, family from Jamaica, spent early life in Jamaica, growing up in Brooklyn, you know, came down with cancer, pushing through the challenges that face us. Find yourself in yourself. Not the one that you created for the job, or created for your husband or wife, or even created for your children, or created for the church. Man, you so many people, I don't even know who you are. Who the hell are you? And that's how it comes across. Confused. Give me something I could grab onto. Who are you? What's important to you? I should be able to feel that just by looking at you. The way you dress, the colors you use, your logo. I should be able to feel who you are. So that's what I would say. Find your authentic voice. And you ain't in no category by yourself. Everybody looking for that. They just, most of them are not honest enough to admit that they don't know who the hell they are. Most people are not honest enough to admit that they're confused by who they are. And so they become a different person in every scenario. That's a hard way to live, man. That's challenging. That's really, really challenging. It's there.
It can't be put itself. Yeah, it's there.
Some people live their whole lives and never find themselves. They live their whole life as somebody else. I mean, they do. I'm not even judging. I'm just saying, don't be that person. Because it's magic when you find yourself. When you find the you in you is magic. Everything begins to make sense.
Well, Nella Nation, as I said, this is the reason why my podcast is international. This is the reason why I provide premium content for free. Because the simple fact, this woman has poured into me because I'm pouring into you. Now, we charge you to pour into someone else. Tell everybody where they can find you if we haven't already covered it. Because, again, I want everybody to get this information.
Yes. Well, you could follow me on Instagram, and that's Karen Marie Mason. And you can also follow Healing ATL on Instagram. And I am Karen Marie Mason everywhere else. And certainly you can be a part of Artist Launch. There's lots of things going on over there as well. But Nella, I just wanted to say to you, man, you're one of my best students. You make me proud. You make me proud. You really do. I am honored to be on your program. You know, I am honored at what you're doing. You know, I am absolutely honored at how you've taken so many of these teachings and giving them life. And I'm just grateful. It fills me with joy. It really does. So I'm so very proud of you.
And guys, that is the conclusion of the Karen Marie Mason, the icon. I have to say it correctly. The icon Karen Marie Mason. It was a privilege and an honor to interview her. I hope you were encouraged by it. I hope you were empowered by it. I hope these pearls of wisdom that she gave you, I hope they'll make you and your life better. I hope you enjoyed that interview as much as I enjoyed giving it. And now it's time for Moments to be Inspired by. I'm here live in Atlanta, Georgia, celebrating the life and the death of my mother-in-law, Felicia Sutton. I dedicate this show to her. We're here celebrating the life and death of Miss Felicia Sutton. And I just want to let you know that Miss Sutton, I love you. Your daughters love you. And thank you for the life that you lived with us. Guys, take full advantage of your loved ones if they're alive, especially in this pandemic. Make sure that you call your mom today. Make sure that you speak to your sister today. Make sure you speak to your father today, because life is yet a vapor. Today's inspiration is a very simple but powerful quote. It says, "Don't let yesterday take up too much of today." That quote again is, "Don't let yesterday take up too much of today." And that was Moments to be Inspired by here on the season finale of Nellascope. Nella Nation, Season 2, Episode 13 is a wrap. Guys, I'd like to thank you all for following me throughout Season 2. I can promise you that Season 3 is going to be bigger and better. On today's show, we listened to part 2 of the Karen Marie Mason interview, and she gave all of the other things, the iconic things that she's done in her career and how she's currently empowering herself to keep going. Make sure you go to her website, www.KarenMarieMason.com. Make sure you follow her on IG at Karen Marie Mason. Make sure you follow her record label at Healing ATL. Guys, make sure that this podcast is listened more than once. I recommend that you get a pen and a piece of paper, because the wisdom and know-how of this woman can literally make a difference in your life if you apply it. The indie fire for today was Reason to Live by Shantae Khan, and that is from the Through the Stages Volume 1 compilation EP. You can find it anywhere where music. Guys, again, wow, Season 2, we're going into Season 3. If you haven't shared Nellascope yet, make sure you do, because again, our goal is to become the #1 podcast in the entire world. Guys, I love you, but God loves you more. Let that sizzle in your spirit. Follow me on Nellascope on IG and Nellascope Live on Facebook. We're going to take Nellascope to a higher level. It's your man, Chris Nella. I will talk to you soon. Be well, and I'm gone.